हेलो हाँ तुमने देख रही
हेलो। हेलो सर, भरूच गुजरात सर, ऑनलाइन सर।
Okay, thank you.
ओके, थैंक यू सर।
कैमरा
नमस्कार सर, पोरबंदर गुजरात is present.
ठीक है, my request is everybody need not register their attendance here. Anyway, you are being clocked on the network, so there's no need to separately register your attendance.
सर कर रहे हैं।
ઓફિસમાંથી તો હજુ તો ત્યાં અધિકારી નથી દેખાયા પણ મે બી કદાચ ઓપરેટ
A very good morning to everybody. A very warm welcome to esteemed Madam Secretary, DDWS, Ms. Vinny Mahajan. A very warm welcome to all the ACSs, principal secretaries and secretaries in charge of rural sanitation, as well as the mission MDs of the state SBMG. And a very warm welcome to all the young collector colleagues who have joined us for this first edition of the Collector Samvaad, which we are starting in this new year of 2024. As we all know, the role of the district collector is absolutely crucial in the Swachh Bharat mission Gramin. We start with planning and implementation, which includes setting up the targets, identifying the key areas of focus, making sure all the villages prepare their village action plans, and allocating the resources effectively. The role of the collector in awareness and in education, by organizing awareness campaigns to educate the local population about the importance of sanitation and proper waste management, cannot be overemphasized. We suggest workshops, street plays, school programs in this segment. The role of the collector in monitoring the actual infrastructure development and to ensure that a system is established to track the implementation, identify the bottlenecks, redress the grievances which come in the implementation, making sure that the system hierarchy, especially the BDO, plays a linchpin role in the monitoring of these sanitation programs, making sure that the panchayats play their roles effectively. These are very crucial roles. Another role which is absolutely crucial of the district collector is his role in forging public and private partnerships. As we know that the partnerships play an absolutely critical role in ensuring that sanitation goes down to the masses and to the last level. So how well he is able to ensure Jan Bhagidari, how he is able to involve NGOs, community-based organizations, local bodies within the district, that will reflect on the SBMG progress in the district. And finally, behavioral change communication programs like Swachhta rallies, Sarpanch Samvaads, Chaupals, Yatras. These are very crucial interventions to build up and to sustain interest in sanitation. All the collectors have played a wonderful role, ma'am. In the last 1.5 years, we have seen the country move up drastically on the ODF status. Even the bottom 50 districts, ma'am, have shown remarkable progress, for which we are absolutely grateful to the collectors and to the role that they have played. It's in recognition of this role, ma'am, that we have started this Collector Samvaad, where we thought that the collectors need to have a forum where they can reach out to us also and inform us of any policy bottlenecks which they are facing. And while they present their best foot forward, while they present what they have done in the districts, we would be very grateful for any instances of policy anomalies which they find in the system. So with these opening remarks, ma'am, I welcome all the 10 collectors and all the other collectors who have joined in this Collector Samvaad. And I would now request you, ma'am, for your opening remarks before we turn it over to our younger colleagues.
Thank you, Jitendra, and thank you, friends, for joining on this Saturday morning. We all know the multifarious tasks that you are all engaged in, and therefore the time that you've taken out to specifically discuss Swachhta, rural Swachhta related issues is really very heartwarming. Very welcome on a cold winter morning in the north of India. Friends, just to step back a minute, you know that when we talk sanitation, much of the global discussion around sanitation is on preventing, stopping open defecation, right? So open defecation is seen as something which is really has very significant adverse impact on the health of communities. It's linked with diarrhea, with other diseases, eventually also linked with stunting and wasting. You know that, you know all the campaigns that you run, for example, for deworming, all of those things. So there is a very clear linkage between open defecation and health. And that is why for years together, India was moving towards solving for this problem. And India did constitute a very large part of the global problem around open defecation. So you know the Sustainable Development Goals, you know that Goal 6, which deals with safe water and sanitation, actually is all around. The sanitation part of it is all around preventing open defecation and making sure that fecal sludge is managed safely. So it's treated if in a sewerage system through an STP or in other systems through other mechanisms, FSTPs and so on. And this was also the primary task that we all played during the first phase of the Swachh Bharat mission. So the first part was around adding toilets, making people use toilets, having them understand the importance of the use of toilets. That whole mass media, the celebrity efforts, all of that was around the building of toilets, the use of toilets, and sustaining that behavior. Now, when the country has, in a sense, in 2019 declared itself open defecation free, now we are looking at other challenges since then. One big challenge continues to be to maintain that ODF status. So even as we go ahead, we cannot lose sight of the fact that if there are new families or if there is any slipping back in behavior, then we need to make sure that we continue to support in provisioning the requisite toilets. Whatever toilets, whether individual or the community complexes, community sanitary complexes, continue to be maintained and they all continue to be used. And for that, whatever IC, BCC needs to be done, continues to be done. So first, let's not lose track of the ODF story. That has to be given the highest priority. We cannot afford to slip back into open defecation, even if it is only to the extent of 2 to 3%. And we can share this with you. All our independent assessments suggest that there is, even though it's a very, very small level, but in a country like India, even small percentages translate into large numbers. In some states more than in other states. So please do be watchful of that. But also, you know that our ambition is now greater. It is no less than the safe management of all waste generated in the rural areas. And we are specifically looking at rural areas. The issues in urban India are similar, but not identical. You know that. However, if you have a good feel for what is happening in rural India, you will have definitely a very good handle on dealing with the issue per se. And so there, what are we looking at? We are looking at grey water management, the management of wastewater, which is usually in rural areas not tinged with fecal matter, but in some cases, septic tanks do go into the drainage and there the issues are slightly different. But grey water management and then the solid waste management. And again, very simplistically, solid waste can be either organic or non-biodegradable. Organic waste is in rural areas easily composted. And also, if it's in a larger quantity, there is the encouragement to biogas so that you are generating both the you're using both the gas and the compost. And the inorganic, the non-biodegradable waste, often called just plastic waste management, but it also includes glass and metal and things like that. Those need to go into a recycling chain. So even as we look at reducing the use of single-use and other plastics to the extent they can be reduced, because we know the harmful impact of too much plastic in our environment, here we are focusing more on whatever is generated, how can we make sure that it is safely taken into a chain, taken out of the house, out of the village, into facilities where it can be put into the recycling, reuse chain. So this is the broad objective. And as Jitendra pointed out, it does involve actually working in both a whole of government and a whole of society approach. There are different departments that are engaged in this. the rural development, Panchayat Raj, urban development, because we're looking at convergence with urban areas, are definitely some of those. The funds also need to be converged. Manrega funds, 15 Finance Commission funds, especially the tight grant, SBMG funds. There are places where district mineral funds, etc., are available and used. So those elements of convergence and whole of society. In particular, this is under the Constitution, not just a state subject, but also the responsibility of the local bodies. Can we enable, strengthen, and ensure that our panchayats are able to take these roles on? And can we also get the self-help groups into especially the O&M phase? We know that women are not just the beneficiaries of clean water and sanitation. We know that if they take the ownership and if they play a lead role in managing these facilities, they do a wonderful job, including collecting, retaining, and using user charges. And we know that user charges are being applied in many parts of the country very successfully. And that's another something we'd like to encourage you to consider. What is an appropriate level of user charges that can be applied so that all these facilities remain sustainable? We don't want our people to keep coming back to the collectors asking for grants for O&M, and we definitely don't want to see the facilities go into disuse because of lack of O&M going forward. So with that, apologies for a little longish lecture, but it is such a pleasure to see young colleagues doing good work on ground, and my special compliments to the 10 who have done extraordinary work. I hope to see many more participants in today's discussion do even better work. But for the present, back to Jitendra for what I hope will be a very lively discussion around the experiences in some districts of the country.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for highlighting the three major roles which we hope that the collectors will get involved in now. Number one, ensuring convergence of funds. Number two, ensuring Jan Bhagidari. And number three, ensuring that the O&M for all the SLWM assets that are created in the district, there is a policy framed at the earliest, and involvement of SHGs in actual O&M is emphasized to the extent possible. Ma'am, we have a list of 10 collectors whom we have identified today. The first 5 have been shortlisted on the basis of their performance in the Swachh Sarvekshan Gramin. The best in each of the categories have been asked to present. For example, in the 5-star category, the best performing district in the 5-star category has been identified. Similarly, in 4-star, in 3-star, 2-star, and 1-star. The remaining 5 collectors have been nominated by the states on the basis of their performance in the last 6 months in terms of drastic improvement or in terms of unique initiatives which they may have done. So this is a monthly program now, ma'am, which we hope to do every month. The next month, we will be focusing on progress in the Niti Aayog blocks, in the aspirational blocks and in the aspirational districts. So that is the hint towards the collectors who are listening in today, that the second edition of the Collectors Samvaad will be focused on the aspirational districts and the aspirational blocks. And after that, we have planned to keep this on a monthly basis so that it engages the attention of all the collectors, and we look forward to seeing newer faces every time. So without any further ado, ma'am, I will now call upon the 10 collectors to come one by one. My only request is please stick to the timeline. We have allocated a time of 5 to 7 minutes per collector. So I'll be slightly rude and play the role of the timekeeper. After 5 minutes, I might interject and just remind you that 5 minutes are up. With that small caveat, I would now like to first call upon Ms. Sakshi Sahni, who is DC of Patiala in Punjab. Ma'am, they have done phenomenal work in planning and execution of the solid waste management initiatives. They have started a lot of new initiatives to encourage Jan Bhagidari, like inclusion of local NGOs for construction and for sustainability. They conducted unique exposure visits to model villages, and they had a good system of reward and recognition to proactive Gram Panchayats. They have encouraged segregation at source, and they have had some good achievements in that. And their community-led initiatives, their composting facilities have shown some very good progress. So I now call upon Sakshi to present her journey to the collectors and to the other state teams.
And
Over to you, Sakshi.
And I'm aware of what an outstanding officer she is. So I'm very pleased to say that she's taking interest in Swachhta as well.
Good
Sakshi.
morning, ma'am. Good morning, sir, and respected seniors and dear colleagues. Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving us this opportunity. We still have some distance to cover, but here is a very honest account of our journey so far. I would request if the PPT could directly go to the third slide. So, ma'am, just to give you an idea, the third slide, yes, thank you. We had to do 882 villages. And as on 1st Jan 2023, where we stood was we had only 71 villages, which with solid waste management and liquid waste management, we had been able to accomplish. And our problem statement that we could see at that point was, and not due to lack of effort, but definitely we required some changes in our strategy, was that we did not have momentum even where we had success stories. And we did not have some kind of sustainable momentum that would take us to, from proverbially speaking, 0 to 100. As on date, we are at 98% aspiring category, and we would be reaching 100% with the geotagging happening by Tuesday. So just to move forward, these were the next slide, please. So these were some of our major challenges. And I would be focusing specifically on solid waste management, where we have seen a lot of improvement, and I will discuss the challenges. The major challenge was the resistance from the community, because of course these were very new waste management practices which were typically seen in the urban part of India, and suddenly these are brought to the rural part, and the rural community is very used to having rudies, which are basically small heaps that are placed in either an area right in front of their house. But now that these start, and this is usually cow dung, which can get successfully used up elsewhere. But the moment it gets mixed up with household waste, it can no longer be segregated and used. Even the rudi, that typical cow dung heap, would lose its value, and nobody would accept it. So you now had heaps of cow dung mixed with household waste right in front of their houses. But the lack of willingness to want to pay for a service where they would, and even the awareness regarding the segregation of household waste was kind of new. Secondly, and very importantly, was the fact that nobody wanted these pits to be made near their houses. Any of the communities that would have these pits felt that there would be this stench, because in their minds and their perception was that this would be a garbage dump. And secondly, that they would come to be identified with the address of having to live next to these pits. So this was another mindset issue that we had to deal with. Then we had very insufficient infrastructure for waste collection, segregation, and transportation at that point, with limited availability of land. For liquid waste management, I will not speak so much, but of course, the cost of setting up liquid waste management was a little high. And while we did gain some momentum, we were hit with the floods, which took us back around 2 months. Please move on to the next slide. So our strategy, of course, which has already been discussed, the whole of government approach was definitely there, and I'm sure that all districts have that approach. But what we realized was that in order to get our momentum, which is where we were lacking, we needed to revise our strategy, and it could not just be whole of government. We needed to bring in that concept of the youth clubs, as well as the NGOs, as well as the strengthening and identification of progressive panchayats, where we would then be able to use them as our domino effect creators, which is exactly what we have done. And of course, while we did this strengthening, and once we achieved the results, and I'll be discussing 3 panchayats where we have done that, we thereafter started with our model exposure visits of panchayats which were not so willing initially in wanting to invest in this infrastructure. And I'll discuss their takeaways. And we did have the reward and recognition policy as well. Next, please. Next, please. So there are 3 panchayats that I'm discussing today. One is Hardaspur, the second is Lang and Rongla, and I will discuss them very briefly. Around 250 to 200 households in each of these villages were targeted with the help of NGOs and youth clubs. In this particular village, it was Round Glass Foundation who worked extremely hard along with our BDPOs and motivators. They worked extremely hard together to conduct, first of all, the awareness and camps regarding why we need to segregate the waste at all. At the same time, why this pit that is being made is not a landfill, not even a sanitary dumping area. It is in fact a manufacturing facility for compost. And that was the message that our teams gave to the people, that you will get recognized for producing compost, which you can use for your own village. So that was the first perception change that was brought in. Secondly, and very importantly, 2 dedicated waste collectors were also employed by the Gram Panchayat. And the people, once they started seeing the result, actually the user charge, which ma'am was talking about, people are voluntarily paying. In fact, all of these 250 households are paying this charge. And that is the beauty of this project, is that usually you see these, right? Usually you see these divisions in rural societies or any society. And this does not seem to apply to this waste management activity, because everybody is paying, whether rich, poor, everybody is paying that 1 to 1.5 rupees per day out of their income for the service and the respect that they're getting, that somebody is coming to our house and collecting this. Can we move on to the next slide, please? Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So these are some of the activities. We distributed 2 dustbins along with giving awareness regarding what has to be thrown in what kind of dustbin, and the exposure visits from these Gram Panchayats, which I will talk about very quickly. The exposure visits have been the domino effect, which has been of great importance, because now the moment you walk into these villages, there are clean lanes. The Rudi is actually just cow dung, which is going to be used up as cow dung. It does not have any mixed waste. There are no diseases. There is no sludging. There is no plastic that is visible in these villages as such. And there are empowered persons who are taking up these activities and feeling pride. Waste collectors are coming to their house and picking up this. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So the same thing with Lung, except at Lung, we also have the youth club, which set up this mini jungle. Next slide. So they also set up a mini jungle, and the compost from these pits is actually being used to nourish that mini forest right next to these MRF facilities. Next, please. Next, please. So the same thing with Rongla. Next, please. Next, please. So our strategy shift from Jan and to now is actually the Jan Bhagidari only, because that is what has caused the domino effect and the sustainability as well. And people value and prioritize waste management in their villages. And so the NGO partnership has already ended. But even as on date, these households continue to pay for their waste collection and segregation, and continue to do the segregation. And there is 100% door-to-door collection that is happening. And it is in fact this, and the fact that they are able to tell their story to other villages is what has led to the domino effect, and how we have been able to come from literally 0 in January to where we are today. Next, please. So just very quickly, I will just talk about how we are also trying to nudge change with our community sanitary complexes. We have introduced the all-gender community sanitary complexes in our villages. Next, please. We have also set up the Gobardhan plant at our government Gaushala, which has been adjudged the best in Punjab. We are able to produce 10 kilowatt of electricity daily, which is balancing out most of our load of the Gaushala itself. This is fairly recent, set up in June only. And we're also examining how we can take it forward to even power our kitchens as well as the approach lighting towards the Gaushala. Next, please. Next, please. If we have time, we can play one testimonial, which is just a few seconds, which is actually from the mouth of one of the villages which has experienced this change. If you could just play it.
किसान दा काम करता है साडे विच पिट बन गया जी सानू बहुत फायदा हो गया ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਪਿੰਡਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਰੂੜੀਆਂ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਦਿਹਾੜੀ ਲਾ ਕੇ ਚੱਕਣੀ ਪੈਂਦੀ ਸੀ ਫਿਰ ਉਹਦੇ ਚੋਂ ਕੰਚ ਲਿਫਾਫੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਕੁਝ ਨਿਕਲਦਾ ਤਾਂ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਖੇਤਾਂ 'ਚ ਵੀ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਆਉਂਦੀ ਸੀ ਉਹਦੀ ਪੈਰਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਤਾਂ ਹੁਣ ਜਿੱਦੋਂ ਦਾ ਸਾਡੇ ਪਿੱਟ ਬਣਿਆ ਸਾਡੇ ਘਰ ਤੋਂ ਕੂੜਾ ਚੱਕ ਕੇ ਸਾਰਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਬੰਦੇ ਰੱਖੇ ਹੋਏ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਪਿੰਡ 'ਚ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਪਹੁੰਚਾਉਂਦੇ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਪਿੰਡ ਦੀ ਹੁਣ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਫ਼ ਸਫਾਈ ਬਹੁਤ ਵਧੀਆ ਕੰਮ ਚੱਲ ਰਿਹਾ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਕਿਸੇ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀ ਕੋਈ ਦਿੱਕਤ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਉਂਦੀ
So there is another testimonial, but I'll stop at that. And I will just say that while we do have a journey ahead and we know that we have to do the 100% model villages, we are as a team, I mean, this is my EDC development, Anuprita Johol, who has worked very hard. We are also confident going forward, having seen that this domino effect has ensured that villages actually prioritize and want to invest in waste management and value it for the reasons that it has brought respect, it has brought evident aesthetics, and also the disease-free angle in these villages, which they themselves appreciate and have come out. And we also know now that at least in terms of prioritizing expenditure towards these activities, it would not be as daunting as it was in January 23. With this, I would just like to thank everybody again for giving us this opportunity, and we assure you that we will continue to work hard and achieve the 100% model villages shortly. Thank you.
Thank you, Sakshi.
Thank you, Sakshi. That was very nice. Couple of points. Please do document this in the sense, maybe have some nice video made, which you can also share, not just within your district, but I do hope Tejveer will be able to organize similar Samvaads within the state and share with others in the state as well. So do get some nice videos made. Secondly, is there any value in, did you notice that if some of these facilities are brightly painted, they look attractive, and if the village is able to put up some signage saying it is an ODF Plus village, does that add value in some form? Did you get that feel, Sakshi?
Ma'am, definitely, because that changes the very nature of the facility. It is no longer some garbage facility. It suddenly becomes a facility which is meant for manufacturing compost or for waste segregation, and it adds value to how it is perceived also. Ma'am, these nudges really matter in terms of the perception, especially for the households which are located very close to these facilities. And the fact that most of these villages which have now become ODF Plus look at it with a lot of respect, that people from outside are coming and visiting them and trying to learn from their experience. So
nice. And did you see a role for women?
Yes, ma'am. In fact, the waste segregation which is being done, we are also now working on that SHG concept. First, we had engaged 2 willing people who would want to go ahead with this. But definitely, ma'am, the women are, especially when it comes to segregation and the door-to-door collection, it is the women who are most responsive. Even in the camps that we noticed, we had maximum women come in to learn and understand about the segregation and to carry forth this message to their kids also. So definitely that is a fact.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sakshi. We look forward to seeing more wonderful work from Patiala.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
With your permission, ma'am, we'll just break sequence because one speaker needs to go urgently at 12 o'clock. So I would now like to call upon Sri Vishal Shah, who's in charge of DC Lakshadweep. Ma'am, all the villages are declared ODF Plus in the IMIS of ODF Plus model in the IMIS of SBMG. They have been able to leverage CSR funds in a big manner for solid waste management, and their management of GWM is on the basis of very simple and on-site management. They are also incidentally the best performing district in the 4-star category. So without any further this thing, I would like to call upon Mr. Vishal Shah to present the Lakshadweep story.
And there were some issues that the High Court, I believe, had been talking about, right? So I hope you'll be able to touch upon those as well, how you dealt with those.
Unmute. Ma'am, good morning. I am Vishal.
Yeah.
Ma'am, I'm District Collector Lakshadweep, and I'm joined by my Mission Director, Swachh Bharat Mission Gramin, ma'am. Ma'am, I would just brief first, give 1-2 line outline, and I will keep it very short with respect to the presentation, ma'am. Ma'am, Lakshadweep is a island of 70,000 population, ma'am. Approximately, it is distributed in 10 different islands. Ma'am, what you call that, since the distribution of what you call waste people, inhabitants being distributed in 10 different islands, we actually have to work a very decentralized model, a model which actually should be based on local governance, which has been given much emphasis by Government of India, ma'am. So we are, rather than, like it has naturally come to our waste management plan that we should be more relying over the, ma'am, this what you call local self-governance for what this solid waste management, ma'am. Ma'am, waste management as such is not something new, ma'am, and we have tried to emulate from the models that we have seen, the successful models, such as, if I can count a few, ma'am, Indore, Ambikapur, we have tried to, get the idea from them only, ma'am. And I would just summarize few of the philosophies which drive our solid waste management plan, ma'am, to start with, ma'am. Ma'am, the first philosophy which drives our waste management plan is the waste segregation at source, ma'am. Ma'am, we actually emphasize too much on the waste segregation of at source, ma'am. And as sir has just pointed out that we have leveraged CSR for giving, what you call, ma'am, dustbin, what you call green and blue for waste segregation to each and every household. Ma'am, all households have been given dustbin. And ma'am, I would like to point out another thing that we actually have been doing is the Jan Bhagidari, ma'am. Ma'am, through Jan Bhagidar, what we have done is that senior officers, ma'am, maybe he is a special secretary vigilance or a special secretary home, still he has to visit 10 household per day, ma'am. Ma'am, this has been done on the basis of guidance of our honorable administrator, that we should spread the message. Senior officers should involve themselves, should engage themselves in this dialogue to showcase the importance of waste segregation, so that it is really implemented well, ma'am, at the each household level, ma'am. So everybody has visited every Saturday, Sunday, ma'am. We regularly visit households and we encourage them. We have made various campaigns, social media campaigns, so that we are able to spread the message that waste segregation at source is what we are looking to perfect, so that other set of the things, other process in the waste management is also taken care, ma'am. Ma'am, in this regard, I want to tell about, ma'am, we have gone with the whole of government approach, ma'am. Ma'am, we have been lucky that all the islands, usually we have clubbed into 4 groups and they are led by good Danix officers, as a result of which we have entrusted them as deputy collector, SDO, that they should also personally get involved, ma'am. It is not only the work of this local self government or panchayat department, rather it is now the work of the entire unit that is present, all the unit, let it be science and technology, environment, forest and police, so that they are able to actually encourage the people in terms of waste management, ma'am. Ma'am, in this regard, I also would like to point out another philosophy that we have used is the strong legal framework that we have been providing, ma'am. Ma'am, in a small society, it is not possible that we actually impose fine, and that it's become difficult, ma'am, without the absence of a strong legal framework. The panchayat or the sarpanch, the elected members, would really shy away from going with this hardline approach, due to which we have ensured that our whole waste management approach is actually driven by a legislation, subordinate legislation, which we have made a UT level rules, ma'am. That rules actually has given real backbone to the process that we emulate, ma'am. One of the process, if I have to name, ma'am, is involvement of public private partnership, ma'am. In our rules itself, it is clearly laid down that panchayat can do it on its own and through its user agents. So that, ma'am, it is very clear that there is no legal vacuum that we are not able to involve our private functionaries. So as a result of which, in spite of this place being very isolated, the logistical challenge being too much, still we are been able to, ma'am, involve the public private partnership because of the strong legal framework, ma'am. Ma'am, I'd like to highlight that, ma'am, our entire waste management model has to follow the IIMP, ma'am. We have an integrated island management plan, which was framed as a part of CRJ notification, ma'am. So that's why, ma'am, what can be done and what cannot be done in waste management is clearly laid down. So these are few of the ma'am, legal framework that I have emphasized upon, ma'am. Ma'am, we have really gone too serious about this thing, because ma'am, you must be aware, just recently Prime Minister visited our island, ma'am. Ma'am, he was awestruck by the beauty of the island, which we have been able to maintain because of the strict measures that we have taken in this isolated island, ma'am. Ma'am, the island is very fragile, and we cannot actually, like, you know, what if the waste is not treated well, it goes untreated, ma'am, we will be doing massive damage to not only this generation and further generation to come, ma'am. If tourism, we boast about tourism and as the main, you know, what you call, for fishing as and coconut as our main, what you call, economy, then we have to emphasize on cleanliness in and around, so that our coconuts are safe, they are organic, they are not exactly infested by any of the, what you call, germs. And then we have fishing, they are also, like, you know, we are able to catch sufficient fish, it is not entangled with any of the, what you call, waste that is generated, even, what you call, in the lagoon side or even in the water side, ma'am. So in fact, I would like to highlight that in Jan Bhagidari, we are not limiting ourselves, ma'am, only to the cleanliness of the island specific, the land area. In fact, our underwater swimmers, ma'am, we have engaged various youth clubs who are trained in as underwater divers, ma'am. They regularly go to underwater and they clean the underwater area as well, ma'am, of all the plastic and debris that usually comes due to the shipping channels and shipping transport and everything, ma'am. So we have gone, ma'am, whole, like, you know, all the philosophies that has always worked out, that is what we have tried to, you know, what you call, implement here, ma'am. The waste to wealth also is one of the policy which actually, ma'am, drives our, what you call, approach toward waste management. And we have done it through, ma'am, involving all the private partnership, ma'am. I would like to highlight, this is a small island, but we have, as of now, we just started 2 months back, ma'am, in terms of this waste to wealth approach, and we have been able to sell 47 metric ton of what you call waste that was generated through a Kochi based recycling agency in the mainland, ma'am. So these are the main philosophies, ma'am, which I would like to highlight, and it has also, you know, what you call, to an extent been covered in the best practices, ma'am. Ma'am, just to browse through the slide, if I would like to say, ma'am, we are ODF and ODF Plus, ma'am. We have used the local self-government. The resolution was passed. We involved them so that every public is aware. It is like, it is a promise to ourselves, ma'am, that we have to do it. And we have to ensure that, you know, ODF Plus is sustained, ma'am, for which we also are in the process of inviting, you know, what you call, applications for IHSL, ma'am. Ma'am, just in the previous slide, you must have seen it, that is our mission director himself in, you know, what you call, going to public, and the DC, what you call, going to individual people, and, you know, giving them whole idea that, you know, we actually have to, you know, what you call, be very serious about the waste segregation, ma'am. Can you move to next slide? Thanks. Ma'am, this is our, what you call, solid waste management, ma'am. As I said, ma'am, to start with, we have ensured all the households are covered through, you know, segregated waste bins. Then the commercial areas, we have mapped the entire area, ma'am, through, what you call, ma'am, we have proper maps of all the island, ma'am. That was thankful because as a panchayat which is looking after local self-government, ma'am, we also did delimitation very recently. So that map actually helped us in identifying those crucial location where households are more, and we have to place you know, requisite number of public community dustbin as well as sanitary dustbin, ma'am. So these are some of the, you know, what you call, approaches that we have used, ma'am. The door-to-door collection, packing and transportation.
Vipul, you have touched 8 minutes. Vipul, you have touched 8 minutes.
Sir, just can you move to next?
Yeah, carry on.
Sir, ma'am, and one of the, what you call, best practices, again, due to the integrated island management plan, is that, ma'am, we cannot have landfill at all, ma'am. So that is actually, in a way, is an approach that everybody should be using, ma'am. I suppose, ma'am, and we have been able to do so. We have just mentioned it, that how we are using the well to waste. Next. Ma'am, these are few pictures of the best practices. Next. Thanks. Ma'am, in terms of single-use plastic, I just want to mention, ma'am, that we have banned the maximum number of single-use plastic, ma'am. And, you know, what you call, we have leveraged that, you know, since we have only point of, you know, movement through ships, ma'am, we have leveraged that logistic channel through, you know, imposing this stricter ban of single-use plastic. You know, we have been able to achieve it because of the isolation, something that is a, you know, what you call, bane to, you know, this island has actually worked well for us in terms of solid waste management, ma'am. Next. Ma'am, this is the beach and lagoon cleaning, as I said, ma'am. Ma'am, in the new initiative, ma'am, as I said, ODF is not just, you know, what you call, we have to sustain it as well. So all this process is ongoing, and within this financial year, ma'am, we are hoping to, you know, what you call, finish all our tasks that I just listed out, ma'am. Next. Ma'am, these are a few pictures of our Honorable Prime Minister visit, and you may see that, you know, what you call, the place looks extremely clean, spick and span. Next. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for giving us this opportunity, ma'am.
Well done, Vishal. Very good work. Tell me again, for fecal sludge management, now you're basically looking at mobile truck unit, right?
Yes, ma'am.
और आपका FSTP भी है? You've already come up with.
Ma'am, FSTP is actually not possible here, ma'am. As I said, like, land-based, any land-based, what you call, we will not be able to, what you call, undertake, because the scarcity, the islands are very small, ma'am. That's why we have proposed for this mobile truck unit, which will be, what you call, helping us in the sewage treatment, ma'am. We will be.
हाँ, पर mobile truck unit में भी it segregates the liquid and the solid part, लेकिन जो solid part बचता है उसको थोड़ा सा तो drying, processing, I mean not really processing, but at least some biological action will
Right,
be
ma'am.
required. तो कुछ जगह तो आपको earmark करनी पड़ेगी.
Yes, ma'am. In all island, we have actually earmarked, ma'am. We have earmarked the places, ma'am, and the entire site is ready for, what you call, functional of this MTU, ma'am.
Right. So you're ready to receive the.
Yes, ma'am. Intervention from Government of India, ma'am.
और MTU कब तक आपका order place हो गया क्या?
Ma'am, my mission director would like to intervene here, please.
Ma'am,
कोई बात नहीं, बाद में देख लेना.
Thank
Happy
you.
to see the good work you're doing. One suggestion, Jitendra, please do share the Swachhta Green Leaf rating framework with Vishal. Vishal, जैसा आपका yours is a touristic place, and the Ministry of Tourism and we have jointly come up, जैसे 3-star, 5-star rating होती है hotels की, वैसी एक rating for the safe sanitation practices in resorts and other touristic places. So this is a joint effort between us and Ministry of Tourism. You should be able to, just verify, and then hopefully all of yours should be fully sort of 5 green leaf rating आपको मिलना चाहिए. तो उसको देख के जरा just put that into practice. That is to improve the demand, so that through IEC, BCC, even the visitors coming or people coming should become aware कि safe sanitation practice हो रहा है यहाँ पे. And if there is any gap in the availability of the services, वो भी plug करने में आपको मदद मिलेगी. तो वो देख लीजिएगा एक बार.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Very nice. Thank you.
Actually, a video over a ma'am, small video around.
Yeah.
I think we won't have time for the video. So we'll we are
But do share it with us separately. We'll put it in the group and we'll request all the states to share it. We'll be happy to share it separately offline.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Also, thank you.
Thank you. I would now like to call upon Shri Mayur Dikshit, DC Tehri. Ma'am, in the last review meeting of the lagging 50 districts, which was held in August 23, Tehri was at 5% coverage. In just 3 months, they have moved up from 5% to 100% in ODF Plus. So it is with regard to this, ma'am, that we would like to call upon Mayur Dikshit to present his very short but very successful journey on ODF.
Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, sir. Moving from the islands to the mountains, I'm District Magistrate Tehri Garhwal in Uttarakhand State. Next slide, please. Next. Ma'am, ours is a completely hilly terrain district encompassing around 3,500 square kilometers with half of the forest. And also this is the district where Ganga actually takes its original shape. Alaknanda meets Bhagirathi, and there is also Tehri Dam here. And also, ma'am, we have achieved 99% FSTC in Jal Jeevan Mission also. So all these things taken into account, we have seen a increased flow of grey water and all types of waste water challenges which are coming up in districts where FSTC have increased and the water supply in villages have come up. Taking the point that sir has mentioned that ours was a lagging district in August. In fact, the assets were being created, but they were not geotagged and were not updated. So we took a task that all the convergent schemes like Manrega, 15th Finance Commission, SBM, etc., all the assets were converged, and special drives were run by district level officers in last 60-70 days of completing the incomplete assets, making them use, and also awareing people in managing them and maintaining them. So we took a task, and now we have nearly achieved the ODF plus 100% coverage, ma'am. Next slide, please. Ma'am, talking about 3 things which were the highlights of this presentation, ma'am: convergence, O&M, and Jan Bhagidari, ma'am. Jan Bhagidari we have ensured by not only by the departmental officers, all the officers who are mandated with different tasks, they visit the villages selected by them every month. We have also incorporated local bodies and several NGOs which are working with us in Jal Jeevan Mission to actually work also on waste management and SBM issues, because these are all related issues in hills. We have ensured that all the Jal Jeevan Samitis, Jal Jeevan Mission Samitis, which are VWSCs, which are incorporated in every villages, they are also responsible for sanitation and wastewater management, because everything is now being run by the local panchayat. So they are also taking keen interest in maintaining those wastewater and ensuring that the water from the villages is not running down the streams and entering the water bodies, but actually going to the soak pits or compost pit which we have created by using Manrega. In fact, ma'am, during using convergence, we have ensured there is no dearth of finance for these projects. Every year we are incorporating around 10 to 15 crore rupees of funds from Manrega itself for these type of projects, and we have made these projects priority for Gram Panchayats and local level bodies also, and they are also promoting these projects rather than making other assets, because these assets will help them in conserving water, which now people are also becoming aware of. We have also used 15 Finance Commission funds intelligently and have constructed drains and segregation sets in all the 1,761 villages of our district, ma'am. And there is a special cell in our district collectorate which have officers and staff from various departments, which actually monitors the construction and maintenance of all these assets. And because of this, only in last 100 days, we have achieved the feat of going 100% ODF. Next. We have also incorporated a management system of collection of solid waste from villages, in which all the three tiers of local level panchayats, from Gram Panchayat, Block Panchayat, and Jilla Panchayat, they've been given roles of collection, transportation, and compaction and further processing of tasks. So there are vehicles in all the blocks. In these blocks, the Gram Panchayat is responsible for collection and putting the plastic and the non-biodegradable waste in such sheds. Then the Block Panchayat, using their funds, they actually have vehicles which collect these waste from the roadside to the compaction centers and processing centers, which is run by the district panchayat. So all the three tiers of panchayat have been given tasks, and the officers responsible are maintaining a roster of these vehicles. The funds are provided by the district level only, by either district plan or the 15th Finance Commission. So we are not dependent on external funds. And also we are using Manrega and other 15th Finance Commission funds which are available at district at the Gram Panchayat and Block Panchayat for salaries of these people, for the fuel of the etc. Next slide, please. This I've already talked about, that we have constructed soak pits in all the villages, and now we are focusing on clustering houses, because in hills villages are very sparsely distributed. So we are making groups of clusters of houses in which we are making soak pits using various schemes. Next. So these are the few pictures, ma'am. That's all, ma'am. Thank you.
Very good work, Mayur. Very nice. Any problem that you faced? Any suggestion? कहीं पे कोई आपको लग रहा है कि कहीं some issues that you faced that you could not solve at your level?
Ma'am, we can have a incentive scheme for districts who are doing some which are doing some work in these in this field, and they can be given some financial assistance in form of their performance, so that we can be able to run all these and they will be sustained in the future also, ma'am. These initiatives which other districts have also shown.
Okay, that's a nice idea. Very good work.
Thank you, Mayur. Thank you, Mayur. I just hope that your sustainability measures which you have identified and which you have converged very beautifully, I hope they stand the test of time, and we look forward to seeing the work done in Tehri evolve into a more sustainable model. I'll just request you, if you could now start thinking about a profit center concept, and if you could encourage the plastic waste management units to focus on profitability, that would be a further feather in your cap for sustainability. We would now like to call upon Ananya Mittal, who is DC of West Singhbhum. The wonderful thing about West Singhbhum is they have set up a call center, ma'am, whose main task is to rectify the issues with regard to IHHL toilet availability. And this is a very unique initiative which has been set up. So we would like to listen to Ananya Mittal Apart from the IHHL call center, they have a very well-functioning Govardhan plant along with other various SLWM arrangements. So over to you, Ananya.
Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, sir. Good morning to all the seniors present, the center and the state, and all dear colleagues. मैम हम लोगों का वेस्ट सिंहभूम का मैम प्रोफाइल मैं सबसे पहले सभी के सामने साझा करना चाहूंगा मैम। वेस्ट सिंहभूम मैम एक ऐसा डिस्ट्रिक्ट है जो कि झारखंड में आज की तारीख में सबसे बड़ा जिला है, और कई ब्लॉक्स यहाँ पर ऐसे भी हैं जो कि यहाँ से 3 से 4 घंटे दूर पड़ते हैं, जो हमारा हेडक्वार्टर है चाईबासा से। यहाँ पर मैम पीपीटी में गलत लिखा है, बट मोर देन 5000 स्क्वायर किलोमीटर्स का इसका पूरा एरिया पड़ता है। नेक्स्ट हमारा ये एरिया एक वन ऑफ द लास्ट हॉटबेड ऑफ नक्सल एक्टिविटीज बच गया है, जिसकी वजह से हमारे यहाँ पर डेवलपमेंट एक्टिविटीज में थोड़ी धीमी गति हो जाती है, बिकॉज कुछ क्षेत्र ऐसे हैं जहाँ पर अभी भी हमारी नक्सल प्रेजेंस है, और वहाँ पर हमारा पहुँच पाना कभी कभार संभव नहीं हो पाता। साथ ही में यहाँ पर मैम डिफिकल्ट टेरेन, हम लोगों के यहाँ पर 4 फॉरेस्ट डिविजन्स है, जिसकी वजह से 46.6% फॉरेस्ट कवर हमारा आता है, और हिली टेरेन भी है। कुछ एरियाज हमारे जो एक ब्लॉक में ही है वो कुछ हिल के ऊपर पड़ते हैं और कुछ हिल के नीचे, जिसकी वजह से हमारे डेवलपमेंट एक्टिविटीज इक्वली डिस्ट्रीब्यूट नहीं हो पाते। एंड देन देयर इज अ ट्राइबल पॉपुलेशन मैम, 67% ऑफ द पॉपुलेशन इज ट्राइबल, एंड उनके सभी के व्यूज को हम लोगों को प्रॉपरली फॉर्म करना और उनको अवगत कराना वो थोड़ी स्लो एक्टिविटी हो जाती है। नेक्स्ट स्लाइड मैम। हमारा ODF प्लस स्टेटस में मैम अगर 2023 में हम जनवरी में देखें तो हमारा ODF प्लस स्टेटस में ओनली 70 विलेजेस वर देयर इन एस्पायरिंग विलेजेस, पर आज की तारीख में हमारा 80% ऑफ द विलेजेस जो हैं वो एस्पायरिंग विलेजेस में आ गए। टोटल हमारे पास 1664 विलेजेस हैं, जिसमें से 1327 एस्पायरिंग विलेजेस हो गए हैं, 22 विलेजेस हमारे राइजिंग में हैं, और 29 आज की तारीख में मॉडल विलेजेस हो गए। जितने भी हमारे कंस्ट्रक्शंस हैं मैम, उनमें हम लोगों ने IEC के लिए पर्टिकुलरली उनको किसी तरीके से अट्रैक्टिव बनाने की कोशिश करी है, जिससे हमें ये जरूर फायदा हो रहा है कि लोग उसकी तरफ अट्रैक्ट होते हैं, और जरूर और गांव के लोग भी आकर यहाँ पर चेक करते हैं कि किस तरीके की फैसिलिटी है और उसको हम लोग किस तरीके से अपने गाँव में भी प्राप्त कर सकते हैं। इसमें मैम हमारा डेडिकेटेड फोकस रहा है अवेयरनेस जनरेशन एक्टिविटीज में, और इन्वॉल्वमेंट ऑफ मुखियाज एंड मानकी मुंडाज। मानकी मुंडाज यहाँ का एक विलेज हेडमैन सिस्टम है मैम, जो आज भी यहाँ पर कंप्लीटली कारगर है, और उनको इन्फॉर्म करने से या फिर उनको लूप में लेने से हमारी काफी जनता जो है वो कंप्लीट एक्टिविटी के लूप में आ जाती है। नेक्स्ट स्लाइड। जन भागीदारी मैम, जैसा कि सर ने भी शुरू में कहा कि 3 अहम पहलू हैं डिस्ट्रिक्ट कलेक्टर के लिए। एक जन भागीदारी, कन्वर्जेंस ऑफ फंड्स एंड ऑपरेशन एंड मेंटेनेंस, जो कि एक डिस्ट्रिक्ट कलेक्टर को हम लोगों को इस्तेमाल करना है इस एक्टिविटीज के लिए। तो जन भागीदारी में मैम हम लोगों ने बहुत काम किया, जिसमें हमारी मंथली मीटिंग्स विद मुखिया, मानकी एंड मुंडा होती है। मानकी मुंडा जो विलेज हेडमैन सिस्टम है, उनके पास एक ह्यूमन पर्सनल होता है जिसे डकुआ कहते हैं। डकुआ जनरली सभी इंफॉर्मेशन विलेजेस में फैलाने के लिए इस्तेमाल होता है। तो हम लोग मानकी मुंडा, मुखिया सभी की मंथली मीटिंग्स करके उन्हें स्वच्छता के बारे में अवगत कराते हैं, और नए इनिशिएटिव्स जो कि हमें ODF प्लस स्टेटस, चाहे वो एस्पायरिंग हो, राइजिंग हो या मॉडल विलेजेस में हो, हम लोग उनको अवगत कराते हैं। उसी में मैम हमारा नीमडी पंचायत का एग्जाम्पल है, जहाँ पर हमारी सुमित्रा देवगम मुखिया है। उन्होंने कई एक्टिविटीज इस तरीके से टेकअप करी हैं, जिससे उन्होंने अपने विलेज को और पंचायत को अवगत कराया है कि ODF स्टेटस, हमारा ODF प्लस स्टेटस कितना महत्वपूर्ण है। उन्होंने चुप्पी तोड़ो स्वस्थ रहो कैंपेन भी अपने आप चालू किया, और स्वच्छता पखवाड़ा भी चालू किया, जिससे उन्होंने क्लीनलीनेस प्रोग्राम्स भी रन करे। हमारे यहाँ मैम 100% सैनिटाइजेशन कवरेज इसमें हो गया है, सैनिटेशन कवरेज हो गया है, यूटिलाइजेशन सर्टिफिकेट दिया है, नाडेप कंस्ट्रक्शन भी हुआ है, मेंस्ट्रुअल हाइजीन के लिए इंसिनरेटर्स भी यहाँ पर कंस्ट्रक्ट किए गए हैं, और साथ ही साथ इसको नॉमिनेट भी किया गया है स्वच्छ सर्वेक्षण 2023। तो जन भागीदारी हम लोगों के लिए एक अहम पार्ट रहा है, जिसमें हम लोगों ने इसमें मुखियास को इन्वॉल्व करते हुए बहुत मेजर कार्य किया। नेक्स्ट, गोवर्धन प्लांट मैम हम लोगों के यहाँ पर कई जगह पर चालू हुआ है, जैसे तमाड़ बांध है हमारे पास विलेज चाईबासा में, छोटा बेलमा विलेज है हमारा मजगांव में, और 2 विलेजेस हैं कुरुलिया एंड केंदू चक्रधरपुर में, जहां पर हम लोगों ने गोवर्धन प्लांट्स चालू करे हैं मैम। तमाड़ बांध का अगर मैम एग्जाम्पल लें तो हमारे यहाँ पर एक गौशाला एग्जिस्ट करती है। उस गौशाला को हम लोगों ने जैसे ही गोवर्धन का स्कीम आया था तो हम लोगों ने शॉर्टलिस्ट किया था, और वहां पर आसपास गौशाला के रह रहे लोगों को हम लोगों ने इससे अवगत कराया था। सबसे पहले गौशाला से हम लोगों ने बात करी थी कि अगर हमारे पास काउ डंग उनका यूटिलाइज हो सके, उन लोगों ने रेडीली अग्री किया था मैम, और उसके बाद हम लोगों ने वहां पर कंस्ट्रक्शन एक्टिविटी स्टार्ट करी थी। आज की तारीख में मैम हमारा 25 क्यूबिक टन का वो कैपेसिटी रखता है और 500 केजी पर डे काउ डंग वहां पर यूटिलाइज होती है। आसपास की सभी फैमिलीज 15 जो कि मैम इनिशियली थी, और आज की तारीख में हमारी 45 फैमिलीज मैम वहां पर कंप्लीटली कवर्ड हैं, जो कि काउ डंग के द्वारा क्रिएटेड गैस यूटिलाइज करते हैं। और उसकी वजह से मैम हमारा सारा फायरवुड बेस्ड कुकिंग जो है वो बंद हो गई है। कुछ ऐसे एरियाज थे मैम जहाँ पर एनक्रोच्ड विलेजर्स पहुंच जाते थे, वहां पर भी अब हम लोगों ने गैस पाइपलाइन के थ्रू उस क्षेत्र में हम लोगों ने ये बायोगैस उपलब्ध करवाई है। साथ ही साथ मैम हम लोग ये भी देख रहे हैं कि जो भी हमारा मैन्योर उसमें बचता है वो वहाँ के आसपास के विलेजर्स को सेल करने में यूटिलाइज होता है। ये कंप्लीट प्लांट मैम कमिटी ऑफ विलेजर्स के द्वारा ऑपरेट होता है, और हम लोग सिर्फ वीकली या मंथली इसमें मीटिंग्स करते हैं सो दैट कोई भी बेसिक इश्यूज अगर आ रहे हैं तो हम उनको इम्प्रूव कर सकें। नेक्स्ट स्लाइड। एमएचएम इंसिनरेटर्स मैम हम लोगों के लिए बहुत हेल्दी रहा है मैम। इसमें हम लोगों ने यूटिलाइजेशन ऑफ फंड्स जो है वो कन्वर्जेंस के साथ किया है। हमारे पास अनटाइड फंड्स और नेक्सल एरिया के डेवलपमेंट के लिए हमारे पास स्पेशल सेंट्रल असिस्टेंस फंड्स भी रहते हैं। तो हम लोगों ने उनको यूटिलाइज करते हुए इस तरीके के एमएचएम इंसिनरेटर्स लगाए हैं। सभी हमारे हाई स्कूल्स में और कस्तूरबा गांधी स्कूल्स में इस तरीके के इंसिनरेटर्स आज की तारीख में अवेलेबल है। कुल 186 यूनिट्स हमारे पास उपलब्ध है मैम, और इनके लिए हम लोगों ने जनरली मुखिया को और मानकी मुंडा को 15 फाइनेंस फंड्स, डिस्ट्रिक्ट फंड्स, सीएसआर और एनजीओस को यूटिलाइज करते हुए एक्सेलरेट करी थी सारी की सारी प्रोग्रेस। इसमें मेजरली हमारे अनटाइड और एससीए के फंड्स इस्तेमाल हुए हैं, और आज की तारीख में ये अवेयरनेस होने से सभी बच्चियों को जो कि हाई स्कूल में और कस्तूरबा गांधी स्कूल में पढ़ती हैं उनको काफी आसानी हो रही है। हमारी प्लास्टिक वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट बैक करेंगे प्लीज, एक स्लाइड। प्लास्टिक वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट यूनिट्स भी मैम हमारी एस्टैब्लिश हो रही हैं। हम लोगों ने इसमें वेस्ट सेग्रीगेशन विलेज लेवल पे हम लोग प्रमोट कर रहे हैं, और अगेन हमारा क्योंकि हमारा एक ट्राइबल रीजन है तो हम लोग मानकी मुंडा को वेस्ट सेग्रीगेशन में मेजरली इंप्रूव करे हैं। आज भी वो विलेज हेडमैन इस तरीके की पोजीशन होल्ड करते हैं मैम कि उनकी अगर वो अवेयर हो जाते हैं तो हमारी बाकी जनता को भी अवेयर करने में हमें आसानी होती है। और हम मटको बेड़ा और बलियापोसी 2 पंचायत हैं जहां पर हमारी इस तरीके की वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट प्लास्टिक वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट यूनिट्स आज की तारीख में एक्टिव है, और हमारा प्लास्टिक वेस्ट सभी जगह पर कलेक्ट हो रहा है। इसके लिए नो प्लास्टिक अवेयरनेस ड्राइव भी हम लोग चला रहे हैं ताकि हमारी वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट के लिए ये यूनिट्स हमारी एक्टिव हमेशा रहे। नेक्स्ट स्लाइड। आईसी एक्टिविटीज के लिए मैम हम लोग डेडिकेटेड स्वच्छता ड्राइव ऑर्गेनाइज कर रहे हैं। पुटिता विलेज ऑफ फूटपानी में जो हमारी मुखिया और जलसैया हैं वो खासी हमारी एक्टिव मुखिया और जलसैया हैं जो कि रेगुलरली इन एक्टिविटीज को ड्राइव करते हैं। उसी तरीके से हम लोग रेगुलर रिव्यूज के द्वारा कोशिश करते हैं कि सभी हमारी पंचायतों में ये एक मंथली एक्टिविटी बन जाए जिसमें हम लोग एक डे चूज करके इन एक्टिविटीज को रीइंफोर्स कर सकें। स्वच्छता शपथ सभी विलेजर्स इसमें लेते हैं मैम, और उसी की वजह से हमारा पुटिदा एक मॉडल विलेज में भी कन्वर्ट हुआ है। जन सहायता कोषांग मैम हम लोगों ने एस्टैब्लिश किया है। इस इनिशिएटिव को हमारे ई गवर्नेंस में सिल्वर अवार्ड भी लास्ट ईयर मिला है। इसमें मैम हम कोई भी कंप्लेंट, ऑल्दो ये कंप्लेंट्स सभी तरीके के कंप्लेंट्स के लिए ओपन है, परंतु यहाँ पर मैम हमारे मैक्सिमम कंप्लेंट स्वच्छता रिलेटेड या फिर वाटर रिलेटेड आते हैं, और उनके आने के पश्चात वो ऑनलाइन ही हम लोग वेरियस डिपार्टमेंट्स को फॉरवर्ड करते हैं। उनका डिस्पोजल हम लोग 7 डेज में इंश्योर करते हैं, और इंश्योर होने के बाद हम लोग फीडबैक के लिए संबंधित कंप्लेनेंट को कॉल करके ही लेते हैं ताकि वो हमें बता सके कि वेदर उसमें कोई कार्य हुआ भी है या नहीं। ओनली आफ्टर अ पॉजिटिव फीडबैक ऑफ द कंप्लेनेंट हम कंप्लेंट को क्लोज करते हैं। आज की तारीख में मैम हमारे पास लगभग 4398 कंप्लेंट्स पास 2 मंथ्स में इसमें हमारे पास आए हैं, और हम लोगों ने इंश्योर किया है कि इसी से हम लोग स्वच्छता के जितने भी इश्यूज हैं वो एड्रेस टाइमली कर सके। नेक्स्ट स्लाइड। थैंक यू मैम। हम लोगों ने स्वच्छता के लिए, चाहे वो एस्पायरिंग, राइजिंग और मॉडल विलेजेस हो, हम लोग इसमें बढ़ चढ़कर कार्य कर रहे हैं। और भी इनिशिएटिव्स हम लोग ई गवर्नेंस के लेने का प्रयास कर रहे हैं, जिसमें अभी हमारे जन सहायता कोषांग में कंप्लेंट सिर्फ फोन के, व्हाट्सएप और ईमेल के माध्यम से आते हैं। हम लोग एक प्लेटफॉर्म बनाने का प्रयास कर रहे हैं जिसमें वो ऐप के माध्यम से भी हमारे पास कंप्लेंट्स आ सकें, सो दैट दे कैन अपलोड रियल टाइम फोटोज, और हम लोग उसको साथ ही साथ 7 डेज में हम लोग सभी चीजों को डिस्पोज कर सकें। थैंक यू मैम, थैंक यू सर फॉर गिविंग अस दिस अपॉर्चुनिटी, एंड वी आर ऑन आवर वे टू 100% model villages. Hopefully we'll achieve them soon. Thank you very much.
Very good work, Ananya. बहुत अच्छा. So you've done some excellent efforts covering a whole span of activities.
Ma'am, I would just like to point out one thing. Jharkhand has been earmarked for low toilet coverage and usage. So I would like to take this opportunity to just bring the attention of the collectors in Jharkhand to this point. Please focus on toilet coverage. Our recent Swachh Sarvekshan Gramin puts the access to toilets in Jharkhand at around 80–85%. So that means there are still around 15% of households don't have toilets. And my recent visit to Garhwa also, ma'am, this was borne out in on the ground. So I will just request the young collectors of Jharkhand to please focus on toilet coverage.
Or Jharkhand make specific study has also suggested that stunting of children is getting correlated with the open defecation behavior. So let's just keep the pressure on to make sure कि जहाँ जरूरत है वहाँ toilet बन जाए और जहाँ है वो functional रहे और use होता रहे.
Now I would now like to call upon Ms. Neha Prakash, DM Auraiya from UP. Ma'am, out of the 42 model villages of the district, 3 were awarded by the Honorable Chief Minister of UP as the best villages of the state. So they have done some excellent work at the model level. So I would now like to call upon Neha Prakash to explain how the model villages are doing so well in Auraiya.
Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, sir, and my dear colleagues. Today, I'll be sharing with you the experience of Auraiya. Thank you, ma'am, for providing us this platform. So Auraiya is a relatively young district of Uttar Pradesh. It was formed in 1997, but it is fairly developed. It comes under moderate wealth category. Auraiya city is also called as plastic city because we have GAIL and NTPC plants here, which make plastic pellets out of natural gas. So it's a small district. We have a population of 16 lakhs, out of which 11 lakh approximately lives in the rural areas. We have 7 blocks, 477 GPs, and 777 revenue villages. Now, a remarkable fact of our district is that women constitute 41% of the elected representatives at the village, block, and the district level. So at the Panchayat Sadasya level, then the BDCs and the Zilla Panchayat Sadasya, around 40% of them are women. Next slide, please. The IHHL coverage of our district is at 90.23%. And as Sir just now pointed out that 3 of our Gram Panchayats have received the Manya Mukhyamantri Panchayat Puraskar Award. And the Budha Dana GP has been getting this award consistently for the past 2 years. They got the award in 2021 and 21-22. Then another GP, Kothipur, they came second in 21-22, along with one another GP, Asjana. So all of these 3 GPs are small GPs. They have a population of less than 5,000. And they are the model GPs of model ODF GPs of our district. So all the villages in our district, all the 777 villages, they are under the aspiring category, and 83 of our villages are now under the rising category. Next slide, please. So, ma'am, this is the way in which we are doing the liquid waste management. So, the different 2 components of the liquid waste management is the grey water management and the black water management. So a distinctive feature which we are doing in our district is the duck farming, which we are doing in the wastewater stabilization pond. Now this pond, they have a considerable amount of algae, and these ducks, they feed on algae. And this algae can also be used for fish farming because fish also feed on this algae. So either we have the option of constructing a separate pond for fish farming, or we can lease out these wastewater stabilization ponds, and we can lease out to the villagers. We can give it out on a patta for fish farming to these villages. So these ducks, they also keep the pond clean. They feed on mosquito larva, pupa, and they have an aesthetic value because they add to the beauty of these ponds. And these ponds are currently being used as picnic spots in these rural areas. And the soak pit construction we have done at a community level. So in places like where communities gather, like around a hand pump, to wash their clothes and wash utensils, there we have these soak pits, and the remaining of the grey water that is being sent out through the drains. But before the ultimate end point of this drain, which is either a pond or a very big drain, we have constructed these silt chambers and filter chambers so that there is no water contamination. Next slide, please. For the black water management, we have used this concept of leach pit, and the black water is entirely segregated from the grey water. So we have also done a waste audit of these villages before implementing these projects. So we identified that 40 families in the villages, they were not disposing of their black water properly, and it was getting mixed up with the grey water. Because the SBM toilets, they have a twin pit system, so their disposal is all right. But the remaining houses, some of which are private houses, for them we have constructed these community leach pits. And 40 such houses were identified, and we have constructed 5 of these community leach pits in village Budhadana. And similarly, in the earlier slide also, we did a waste audit of the grey water. So the entire 771 families of the village, they were connected through these 34 soak pits. Simultaneously, we are also doing rainwater harvesting activities where rainwater is being collected through these collection pipes, and they are being stored in the storage tanks. Next slide, please. So for the solid waste management, we have these RSC centers in our villages, and which is being completely handled by our SHG women. And some of this plastic, they are now being sent to the MRF centers, which are in the urban areas, these material recovery facilities. And we have a tie-up with a company, and they will make school furniture out of this plastic waste. And this school furniture will be providing to all our schools, which are situated in the Nagar Palika and the Nagar Panchayat of Auraiya. Also in village Budhadana, we are currently in the process of MOU with a company which will make plastic pebbles, and this will be used for road construction by PWD and other such agencies. So some of the, you can see in the picture, some of these equipments have been installed, and very soon we'll be selling out these waste plastic from the villages. Next slide, please. Talking about the Govardhan scheme, our biogas plants were the first in the state to be functional because we made it functional in April 22, and we are generating 5 kilowatt of energy through these biogas plants, and they are catering completely to all the electricity needs of our goshalas. So the 3 biggest goshalas of Auraiya, which have a capacity of around 300 animals each, so all of their electricity needs, the lighting, the submersible, and the electric fence entirely is being catered through these biogas plants. And also the dumped dung, which is sent to these plants, 40% of it is retrieved as slurry. And then we mix it in green fodder, and it is also used in the goshala. Recently, we have packaged this slurry and we have branded it as Mangla brand. Mangla also means cow. So we have started to sell this slurry. And this is being done by SHGs, and going forward, we'll train these SHGs. And recently, last Diwali, they also made idols from this cow dung, some diyas and sculptures. Next slide, please. So we have also focused on Jan Bhagidari, and we have this scheme for award and motivation where the people who are doing well, they are awarded at the GP level. And we have also used the people who hold an aspirational value like doctors, priests, school teachers. They motivate the villagers because villagers try to emulate them. And then they tell these villagers that this is how we do it in a good way, and this is how it is done in cities and in good GPs. So we also have this tagline, we focus more on young children and females, and they have been motivated through Mera Kachra, Meri Zimmedari tagline. We also have active participation from the local representatives, and people from the school children, they are also actively participating in all these. We have done wall painting as an IC activity for behavior change. Next slide, please. Some of the other activities is one of this initiative. It was started up by our commissioner, sir, and he said that whenever he visited villages, he saw that there's a lot of like the schools and the Anganwadi centers, a lot of dirt and garbage is there outside these. So we need to clean them. We need to make the entrance very beautiful and appealing, so that whenever a student, parent, or a teacher visits these schools or Anganwadis, he enters with a positive mindset. So we have a specific dedicated campaign where we clean the vicinity of our schools and the Anganwadi centers, because within the schools, cleaning was being done earlier, but then outside also we have made it more appealing and beautiful. One or two points which I would like to share about Shravasti, where I was DM earlier prior to Oraiya. Shravasti model is a very sustainable model, because even after I've moved out of there, the RRC center, they are still generate revenue, and the vermicompost pits which was constructed there, that was visited by the UNICEF country head. And these RRC centers were made at a very low cost, 4.25 lakh rupees only. And this was a 6 by 12 meter RRC which was made in convergence with Manrega. So we had to motivate the Pradhans. We had a confidence building session with them, and the labor, material and construction, they were all converged with Manrega. Usually what we have seen is districts do it from the PWD schedule of rates, which make the construction of these RRCs very slightly expensive. So the vermicompost pit, the manure which we derived from there, that we sold under the brand name of Tathagat. And this Tathagat brand name was earlier selling spices and rose water, and it is also on Amazon. So we can order products of Tathagat brand from Amazon also. So the capacity building which was done there, so all the consulting engineers, they were trained, and these masons were trained at every Gram Panchayat, and this local asset, these skilled masons were prepared, and they could do any work in the GP. So one IC activity which we did in Shravasti was that in Shravasti Mahotsav, we had a live model of a ODF village, and it was featured in Swachhata Chronicles. So Shravasti Mahotsav is a big cultural festival of the district, and this was inaugurated by Honorable Minister, and it was a live model. So we demonstrated everything going live there. Next slide, please. So going forward, what we have done is talking about sustainability. How do we aim to keep this ODF status going on? So we have constructed these Nigrani Samitis in the GPs, and they have this activity to monitor the ODF and the garbage, how the disposal of the garbage in the GPs. Then another activity which we are doing is we are pasting stickers on every household. So we have these 3 categories of stickers: green, yellow and red. So green stickers are being placed on those houses who are using a dustbin. They are segregating their waste and giving the waste to the collection center representative who comes to their house, and they are paying the fees also. So we are giving a monetary award for to them, and we are also inviting them for a session like coffee with the DM or coffee with CDO. The yellow stickers are being placed on those houses which are using a dustbin, but they are not segregating, and still they are paying the required fees. And the red stickers are placed on those houses who are not paying any fees, and they are not segregating their garbage. So this is also acting like a kind of motivator for the households, because households have been identified whether you are in the good category or the bad category. So people will try to emulate people who have green sticker outside their house. Then we also have this plan of creating a cluster of communities. So we'll group some Gram Panchayats, we'll form a cluster, and then every district level official will be given this task of organizing community meetings with them and monitoring whether they are keeping up with their ODF sustainable status. For disposal of plastic waste, we have planned Samuhik Shramdans, and we have these MOUs and tie-ups with companies who will take our plastic waste and they'll convert it into something useful. As I talked earlier, in the wastewater stabilization pond, we are actively promoting fish farming and duck farming. Then all these things, these RRC centers, Govardhan biogas plants, they are being run by SHG group women. So going forward, we'll analyze and we'll see if these SHGs are able to recover their costs. If not, we'll try and get the help of other expert agencies who will train these SHGs and make them more sustainable and a good revenue generating model for them. Then we also plan to sell the vermicompost under the Mangla brand through online market so that people can order them online. So, ma'am, this will be all from my side, and going forward, we aim to achieve the 100% model villages status soon. Thank you.
Very well done, Neha, and we will look forward to when you report that you are fully 100% model, and we hope that like the Shavasti model, you'll come up with some Aurea model also. So, बहुत अच्छा काम.
Thank you so
ma'am.
much, Neha. Thank you so much, Neha. I would now like to call upon Prajeet Nair, who is CEO of the Sindhudurg district in Maharashtra, ma'am. Ma'am, Sindhudurg was the first ODF Plus district in the state, and they have done some phenomenal work in convergence with Manrega. So over to you, Prajeet.
Thank you, sir. My presentation. Yeah. Good afternoon to ma'am and all colleagues joining in today. At the onset, I wish to thank Jal Shakti and Department of Drinking Water and Sanitation for giving us this opportunity to present our work at this forum. Next slide. Next slide. I wish brief overview of the district to set the geographical context for our intervention done under Swachh Bharat 2. We are a small district with roughly 8.5 lakh people distributed among 431 village panchayats. This population is spread across over 5,000 hamlets. So the district is very sparsely populated. Coupled with this is the culture of cleanliness. In 2016, as I said, we were declared as ODF Plus first in our state. The Quality Control of India declared Sindhudurg as the cleanest district in the country in the Plateau region. Under Swachh Sarvekshan Gramin, we were second in the West Zone, and this last year we were able to declare Sindhudurg as ODF Plus. So this is a brief overview of ODF Plus component, delivering upon each points in this. Next. Ma'am, starting with the liquid waste management component, Sindhudurg has some form of liquid waste management covering almost 77% of the households before the start of this program in the form of soak pits and kitchen gardens. Almost 1 lakh kitchen gardens were existing before this program started. For the remaining 23%, amounting to roughly 33,000 families, we ran a program called Harghar Soak Pits, converging MRGS funds and covering the remaining households, ma'am. This was our innovation. Since the SBM scheme envisages community level solutions, but given our geography, we leveraged other schemes for tailoring solutions to our requirements. We could spend around 3.3 crores from MRGS for this initiative. Next. These are some of the done during the program that we implemented 3 months from April 2021 to June 2021. Solid waste management. We already had a huge number of individual level solid waste management in the form of compost, NADEP, and biogas. This was done leveraging funds from SBM and 15th Finance Commission. We created collection sheds at each Gram Panchayat and had all Gram Panchayats purchase tricycles for collecting door-to-door waste. These instructions were mapped to SBM activities. These solutions themselves cover around almost 50% of the households. I wish to lever upon this point that there is a huge role of Janbhagidari in each of these initiatives. Individual solutions for waste management was pivotal in helping us achieve this ODF Plus act. Next. Some of the constructions done under SBM. Next. Next slide. For plastic waste, we took a cluster approach and treatment units at taluka level. Out of 8, we have completed 2, remaining 6 are in the process of completion. The idea is that we'll be giving these to women SHGs for management. We experimented with a similar model under GJM, in which after the schemes were constructed, we handed over these schemes for O&M to local women-based self-help groups, and we have had some early success in that. So we believe that we'll be able to replicate the same thing with these plastic management units, wherein these lady self-help groups would be running them as business units. Next. Next. For fecal flush management, 30% of our villages have a population of less than 500. So for these, we propose village level solutions like desludging trenches for septic tank toilet waste. For the remaining 70% villages, around 524 villages, we have cluster-based solutions, wherein we took a cluster of 10 to 12 villages and created a STP for them. Next. Next. The first district to be declared as a tourist district in the country now, and there is a huge quantum of floating population, especially during festivals and vacation season. To cater to the needs, community sanitary complexes were built, and these are operated by Gram Panchayats. Villages themselves take special efforts on their own to maintain these toilets. These are not toilets that are painted and photographic. Any normal day, these are the toilets that you see across the villages. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Swachh Bharat 2 has been the enthusiastic participation of the people in its implementation. The administration has been able to leverage the local art forms to get people to participate in every event related to SBM. We have used Kirtan Samvaad and Dashamka, local art form, and Bhajan Mandals to get people's participation in the implementation of the program.
Some mics, sorry, some mics are open. Please turn off your mics. Other than Paradip, अपना माइक सब देखिए, प्लीज बंद कर दीजिए.
न्यूट्रल करके इनको फिर से चालू कर दीजिए. न्यूट्रल करके इनको फिर चालू कर दीजिए.
This is my second last slide, ma'am. The public participation has greatly helped us in declaring the district as ODF Plus. Out of 741 villages, ma'am, almost 71% of the villages are declared ODF Plus in the model category, and we are on track to declare the whole district as ODF Plus in the model category by the end of this financial year. Next slide. These are some of the coverages in the local press that that the district garnered as a part of the SBM2 activity. I wish to take this opportunity to a single suggestion, ma'am. Much of the activities under the SBM are envisaged with a community-led solution, but given our geography and our problems with regards to landholding, ma'am, much of the solutions that we were able to find were in individual-based solutions for solid waste management and liquid waste management. As an example, ma'am, we have around 15,000 biogas units in our district. These were constructed under subsidy from the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, which unfortunately the department has stopped giving it from the last year, ma'am. My request would be, ma'am, if this can be continued under SBM in some form, it would be a great help. Ma'am, we would be able to saturate the district with these biogas units, and these units are overthan in their own sense, ma'am. SBM gives one at a district level, but for a distributed, sparsely populated district, it would be very helpful if you could use funds for individual level solutions, ma'am. That's it from me, ma'am. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Paradip, and thank you for the good work you've done. Just to quickly respond, the philosophy for Swachh Bharat mission is कि घर का घर में अगर हो जाए तो that is the best. managing waste generated by a household or an institution within the household or institution, whether through a household soak pit or through a household level compost pit, is the best solution, and a twin pit toilet for fecal sludge management. Of course, plastic and other non-biodegradable cannot be handled within the house or institution, तो उसको तो बाहर लेके ही जाना है. But fecal matter, grey water, and biodegradable matter best dealt within the household. It's just a question of funding. So it's not the philosophy or the priority. Funding के लिए SBMG says कि household level assets बनने चाहिए, either basically using 15th Finance Commission tied grant supplemented with Manrega and any other resources that the state may have. The requirement of funds for community assets being larger, the SBMG funds should be used for community assets. But that's not to say that community assets बनाए जाएं, अगर household level assets बन सकते हैं, तो do make household assets. And 15th Finance Commission funds are actually very substantial. In fact, much more than SBMG funds. So 15th Finance Commission में हर साल at the national level there is 28,000 crores going out, and this money is going every year in 2 installments. तो अगर आप अपने district का देखेंगे, you might like to check कि आपको कौन सी installment आई है, कौन सी use हुई है, and if you are due for the next, you will receive the next very quickly. So there is a lot of funds available, and this is true for all. I'm not just responding to Sindhudurg or Maharashtra here, but all collectors must know that there is a lot of funding available under the FFC tied grant, and of course you know Manrega, etc. In fact, we are not able to send the money quickly because utilization nahi theek se ho rahi, not adequate utilization. That is one. The second, for household level biogas units. Biogas units actually are rather capital intensive, and it is not practicable if you look at the costings also. For the government to give subsidy for every household to do that is not going to be realistically possible. So we say that wherever a large community level system is possible, wahan pe biogas kara jaye. Of course, where the families can afford it, do encourage them to set up even household level facilities. But public money will not really be feasible as a subsidy for each individual household. So that's why we say that composting kar lijiye. Every household should at least compost properly, safely, make organic manure. The biogas element will come in only in a very limited number of situations. So that is just to address the point you've made, but we appreciate your thinking about these issues and all the good work that you've done.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much, Prajeet. Now I'd like to call upon Vigneshwari, Ms. V. Vigneshwari, who is District Collector of Kottayam in Kerala. Ma'am, the Kottayam district is the #1 district on the 5-star category, and their contribution in plastic waste management through the Harita Karma Sena, which involves, for example, they have more than 2,000 people who are involved in the plastic waste management. So they also have a wonderful decentralized system for community level bio waste management, and their mini material collection facilities, which have been built in convergence with Narega and SBMG in all wards. These are the noteworthy points for which we will be requesting V. Vigneshwari ji to present the Kottayam story. Over to you, Vigneshwari ji.
Good afternoon, ma'am, sir, and everyone present here. So thank you for giving this opportunity. So, yeah, can we move to the second slide? Yeah. So there are like 100 villages and 71 panchayats in Kottayam district. Unlike the villages or the panchayats in northern India, here the panchayats average population would be a minimum of 20,000. So moving on to the next slide. Kottayam is known as a land of 3 L's, latex, letters and lakes, and we would like to add one more L to the same. Please move to the next slide. We would like to declare Kottayam as a litter-free district, and we are on the mission to realize the same. So regarding Harita Karma Sena, which was mentioned by Sir before, so it is a group of women mainly under Kudumbashree mission, rural livelihood mission, particular to the state of Kerala. And we have 2,176 Harita Karma Sena workers, and almost 80% of our panchayats have realized 100% use of fee collection. Please move to the next slide. Yeah. So the valuable products which they get out of the collection will again be sent for forward linkages through a PSU of Kerala government, which is Clean Kerala Company. So initially, there is a Kerala solid waste management project under which a detailed survey has been done from every household on the quantum of rejects produced at the household level and the institutional level. And then capacity building trainings have been given for Harita Karma Sena. And they've also covered for an insurance policy through Kudumbashree mission. And it is being monitored by local government, Suchitwa mission and Kudumbashree together. The next slide, please. Yeah, so this is how the door-to-door collection happens and the segregation also. Next slide, please. Yeah, mini MCF. So we have a material collection facility at the Panchayat. In addition to this, we have mini MCFs at ward level. So you can see the pictures of mini MCFs, and these are being removed regularly by Clean Kerala Company, a PSU, or in certain cases, even private vendors are empaneled by the local panchayats. Next one. So this is where the MCFs were constructed along with the convergence of MG Nariga and SBM funds. So yeah, as I mentioned, the material collection facility in term is being managed by CKCL. Next one, please. Yeah, a picture of our material collection facility. Next one. Okay, so from there we are taking the materials to recovery, which is being managed at the block level. There are 10 units which are functioning at present. There are 11 blocks in total in the district. Next one. Yeah, these are the pictures of RRFs at different blocks. Next one, please. So the transportation facility is also made available for Harita Karma Sena. Right now we are having a double chamber vehicle for transporting the waste, and in the current plan and in the future plans, we are planning to have a minimum of 6 chambered vehicles to collect the waste from the household to mini MCF and MCF. Next slide, please. Okay. So this is with respect to non-biodegradable waste, and with respect to biodegradable waste, the plan is to manage it at the household or institution level, as mentioned by ma'am. So we have distributed aerobic composting unit bins to almost 80% of the households, and we have also encouraged institutions to develop one of their own. Next one. Yeah. So these are the aerobic composting units at the institutional levels. Next one. This is under the project name Tumbur Muri, because that is where this project was first conceptualized a few decades back. And regarding Govardhan project, we have one functional unit at AR camp, and another one which is coming up in the bus stand in a panchayat. Next one, please. Yeah, next one. Okay, so regarding the community sanitary complexes, this is functioning under the banner of Take a Break, conceptualized by the government of Kerala. So these public toilets are located at along the highways, at different markets, bus stops, and places where people would need a toilet for their usage. Yeah, next one. Okay, so we have 136 projects taken up, of which 78 are functional and 58 are ongoing. A few pictures of Take a Break public toilets. Okay, so we have introduced a project Collectors at School Ben, wherein the students are taught about the practices of waste segregation at source. So next slide, please. Yeah, these are the bins I mean the picture, the previous slide. These are the bins installed at all the schools, starting from you encouraging the usage of fountain pens to conducting all their events in a green friendly way. This is how we have sort of created awareness among students in the schools as well as at the college levels. Next one. So yeah, as we have mentioned before, the bio-waste management is done at the individual household or the institutional level. And only in a few cases, we have this Tumbur Muride aero compost bin projects. Next one. Okay, these are pictures of the programs wherein compost bins were distributed to the individual households. So a new initiative from the state is a green protocol. So every program, every festival of the government as well as the public will adhere to green protocol standard, wherein we use only reusable materials. If at all we are using materials which is for one-time use, then it will be of biodegradable nature. Next one. This is an example of a green booth set up in the last election, and the festivals where green protocols have been followed. And the next slide is a Harita marriage. This is a new concept wherein entire, can you please move to the previous one, the Harita marriage? If you can see, there's nothing which will be causing any pollution to the environment. Everything is a reusable material. Otherwise, at max, they've gone to use some biodegradable materials. Even for decoration, everything, every aspect of a marriage has been curated in that way. And there's also special drive for e-waste collection, special cleaning drives, and garbage vulnerable points to beautification. So that is being done under Nava Kerala Mukta Kerala, Nava Kerala Mukta campaign, in which all the vulnerable points are being cleaned and then beautified for future prevention of waste dumping. And ban on single-use plastic was enforced in the year of 2020, and it is being followed now. The Kudumashri groups are involved in producing paper bags or reusable bags, which is being used in lieu of plastic bags. And enforcement is done at the district level and the local body level. And there is also incentive for people who can click pictures of any deviations, any dumping sites, or any people throwing waste onto the public place, and they will be rewarded by the local panchayats. And glimpse of the projects of the year 2023-24. So next we are moving to the liquid waste management part, wherein we are looking at community level FSTPs, and then right now we are also using a app called Harita Mitram app to ensure the waste collection is in as mandated, and then the user collection is 100%. And finally, we also have projects placed for double chamber incineration for MHM, which is being done in almost all the 6 municipalities. Next slide. Yeah. So the monitoring is done at the ward level, the panchayat level, the district level, as well as the state level. Next slide. Yeah. So this is what we would like to share on behalf of the district of Kollam. Thank you for the opportunity once again.
Sorry, I didn't realize we were on mute. Very well done, Vigneshri. Very nice presentation covering beautifully the various aspects. So I was told on my visit to Kerala that there are some thought through user charges for commercial establishments also. Is that something you're also doing for small eateries, restaurants, etc.? User
Yes.
charges?
Yes, ma'am. We are collecting user charges depending upon the quantum of waste they generate.
And so are these facilities seeming like they are, going to be viable going forward? Your market-based waste management facilities, etc., etc.?
And so far it has been viable, but we are also thinking about other models to enhance the canvas of our waste collection process. Right now we are in the initial stages and it has been viable so far.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Vigneshri. I would now like to call upon Sarish Asgar, who is DC of Baramulla. They are ODF Plus model district, ma'am, and they were the #1 district on the 3-star category. So over to you, Sarish.
Very good morning, ma'am. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, ma'am, for giving me this opportunity to speak about our district. Ma'am, our district is an aspirational district and it is the largest rural district of Jammu and Kashmir, having more than 550 plus villages and 402 panchayats. In fact, ma'am, in the past 2 years, we have been able to achieve the ODF Plus model status. And our goal now is to sustain the ODF Plus and also meet our various challenges. The first thing that I want to describe about the district is that it is on the banks of River Jhelum. In fact, Jhelum is the main source of our water for Jal Jeevan Mission also. And ironically, all the liquid waste also goes into the Jhelum. In fact, ma'am, when we started, our main focus was to implement the basic principles of Swachh Bharat mission only and not to reinvent the wheel. In fact, we tried to find out how we can improve the existing scheme and implement it properly. We focused on the toilets, that it should be 100%. At the same time, we had to convince the people about not going for open defecation, for improving their overall sanitation practices, and that would help in maintaining their health and preventing any spread of diseases. So we focused on the infrastructure development and changing the mindset. These were our 2 primary goals. In this slide, ma'am, as you can see, that we focused on 2 main aspects, that is the solid waste management and the liquid waste management. But first of all, we had to find out where we were standing. So Baramulla became the first district in the UT which did a survey. And that was a third-party survey in which we did house-to-house survey and analyzed our gaps in the implementation of various programs of Swachh Bharat mission. We found out that in this analysis, that in the solid waste management, 70% of the households were using dustbins, 40% of the households were using dustbins to separate dry and wet waste, and 29% households were using this waste for burning, and they were throwing it in the water bodies nearby open spaces or the water bodies. In the liquid waste management, where we were standing 2 years back, was 82% of the household had toilets, 28% households were using twin pit toilets, 68% households had a provision of grey water and black water treatment, and 20% households were using grey water in the kitchen gardens. So this is a statistical view. Next. So after analyzing our gaps, we adopted these 4 strategies. First was the infrastructure development. Second was to have a self-sustainable revenue model for operation and maintenance. The third was community engagement, because we had to convince the people that it is not okay to throw their waste in the water bodies. And also convince them, one of the major problem that we were facing was wherever we were trying to make segregation sheds, they thought that we are making these are open areas where they can throw their waste. So we had to change their mindset. And the fourth was how will we monitor this and how will we evaluate different panchayats. Next. So in the solid waste management, we divided very simplistically our approach into degradable and non-biodegradable. The biodegradable we had, which was already present in the scheme, was the household level compost pits, kitchen gardens, community level compost pits, and the vermicompost pits. And for the non-biodegradable, which was a major problem, and plastic is a major problem. Wherever you go in the villages, you will find plastic all over. So in the non-biodegradable, we had to make collection cum segregation sheds, plastic waste management unit, and we had to buy machinery so that we can collect this waste. So this is the biodegradable waste management that we did. Almost 10,460 individual household level compost pits have been constructed, and this is in convergence with NREGA. And also we motivated the people to make their own individual household level compost pits. The second pictures, ma'am, that you can see is 1 or 2. We made community level compost pits also. It was made under Swachh Bharat Mission Gramin. 53,420 individual household level kitchen gardens were developed, and this is all done through motivation. We did not spend anything on this. We just motivated the community to make their own kitchen gardens, use their grey water for this, because in Kashmir, ma'am, you can see that they had kitchen gardens, but they were not utilizing the grey water or the kitchen water for this. So we just motivated them. In every week we had block divas, and we motivated them. We involved the PRIs that they can use the kitchen water for this purpose, and they should not throw their biodegradable waste anywhere outside. They should make their own compost pit. They can use it as a manure for their kitchen gardens. This is the 726 community level vermicompost pits which were constructed under NREGA. Next. This is again for the non-biodegradable waste management. We managed to buy 26 garbage hooper dumper vehicles, 7,968 containers and community bins were installed in all the panchayats, and 341 push carts were purchased. 25 baling machines at various clusters were installed, 8 shredders, and 20 PA systems for IC activities. This was all done through 14th FC money and convergence and CSR, as well as Swachh Bharat Mission. 262 solid waste collection cum segregation sheds were constructed under Swachh Bharat Mission Gramin. These are the segregation sheds which became a major bone of contention between various villagers, PRIs, and the government, because they thought that ye kude ki jagah hai, and everybody used to start throwing things there. And finally, people were not motivated, and they in fact opposed the creation of these segregation sheds. But through various IC activities and motivation, we convinced them that this is not any open dumping ground. It is not a dumping ground. We are going to segregate. There will be no smell. There will be no dirty looking ground there. So a lot of work had to be done in that field. For the liquid waste management, because this is a real problem in Baramulla, because Jhelum flows through Baramulla, and we are using Jhelum's water for all the Jal Jeevan Mission schemes, all the water schemes. But ironically, all the waste from the urban as well as the rural areas was going there. So we divided into two, the grey water, black water. For the grey water, household level grey water soakage pits, kitchen gardens again, grey water soakage pits at the community level, leach pits and drains had to be constructed. And for the black water, obviously individual household latrines having the proper type design, the community sanitary complexes, and retrofitting of the already existing toilets. Next. So this, as we can see, 60,664 individual household level grey water soakage pits were constructed, both through NREGA's convergence and also convincing the local people there that they have to make it. And we were able to make 60,000, more than 60,000 household level grey water soakage pits. 139 community level grey water soakage pits were also constructed under Swachh Bharat Mission, and drains under 14th FC and ADP, that is the area development plan. So now we have the third tier, and they are also utilizing their funds, the Panchayati Raj system, to make these drains. so that whenever the water enters any major river body, first it gets treated. These are the drain outlets connected with the soakage pits, and community level leach pits can be seen, which were constructed under Swachh Bharat Mission Gramin. Now, for the black water management, 12,210 individual household level latrines, which was a gap that was filled. And now saturation has been done. It was done in phase 2. And some people were also motivated. It was done under Swachh Bharat also. And people were also motivated to construct their own latrines. 215 community sanitary complexes were also constructed. And we chose areas which were some rural markets and all those areas where convergence of people, PRIs were sitting or utilizing those open spaces. A very important intervention that we did was the pink toilets. Now, we saturated all the higher secondary schools and colleges of the district with the pink toilets. So 359 incinerators and dispensers were installed in all the schools. That is the higher secondary. Piche wali slide, the last slide. In all the schools as well as colleges, and also 13 pink toilets were constructed in the community areas, so that people who, the women who visit these common places, they can also utilize this. It was done in convergence with the self-help groups, that is the Jammu Kashmir Rural Livelihood Mission and the NGO Saheli. So these sanitary napkins are being manufactured by the self-help group women, and they are being utilized for these pink toilets. So these self-help group people, women are also earning. At the same time, the menstrual hygiene, reproductive hygiene of the women has improved. It has drastically improved our retention rate in schools also. For operation and maintenance, we had to make a revenue model. So door-to-door collection was done through our Swachh Grahis. We employed almost in every panchayat Swachh Grahis, somewhere 2, somewhere 1, somewhere clusters, because where the panchayats were really small. We had Swachh Grahis there for 2 or 3 panchayats, and 415 Swachh Grahis were placed. These were the people who were already working in some kind of this collection and activities. They were employed, and the money was given by the houses, by the market committees. 26 garbage hooper dumper vehicles were bought under Swachh Bharat Mission. And for the plastic, we also had the rag pickers. We conversed with them, and we also told them that these are the areas from where they need to collect the plastic. Next. So these are the glimpses of the collection and transportation of garbage by the hooper dumpers. As we said, that the major problem was to involve the community, because without the community involvement, such major change could not have taken place. We involved our Panchayati Raj institutions because we have a vibrant panchayat, sarpanches are there now. Also, we involved the religious preachers. In fact, from the masjids, from the in Friday prayers, we had sermons, especially on Swachh Bharat, how Swachhta and is also, like we say, that it is half of your iman, and we try to convince people not to throw their waste in the open spaces. Youth clubs were involved, especially the Panchayati Raj institutions were involved to motivate people to give money to these Swachh Grahis. So that was our major achievement. In every block divas, we have on Wednesday or back to village in public darbars, Viksit Bharat Sankalp Yatra or Amrit Kalash Yatras. In every kind of activity where we were going to people, we were focusing on Swachh Bharat Mission. Next. Next. So for monitoring, we had to create a team which could go in the villages and the panchayats and find out whether this was happening or not. Next. Block level committees were formed of the district panchayat officer, concerned BDO, agriculture extension officer, and block education officer, and they gave us monthly reports that whether this is actually working or not on the ground. They gave us feedback, and we improved. We brought changes in our system also. Somewhere earlier we used to collect 50 rupees from the houses, but they were reluctant, so we decreased it to 20 rupees. So these are various changes that we could make because of the feedback that we were receiving. Next. I've already talked about these problems, but here I want to highlight, ma'am, that the major challenge today also is plastic. If we go in the rural area, biodegradable waste, you will never find it. Most of the people are now convinced that they will utilize their kitchen waste, they will utilize whatever they can degrade. But the plastic is a major problem. Chips ka wrapper, yeah, polythene, it's still coming. So what we did, especially in Gulmarg, which is a tourist destination of our district, we banned single-use plastic. We are not allowing plastic from a particular point because there is police also. We are not allowing them to use any plastic. However, because it's a large district, we have 5 subdivisions. So much of monitoring is not possible in every subdivision. That is a major challenge, and in the next program, yes, ma'am. In the next program, what we will try to do is we will concentrate more on this plastic, that the entry itself should be banned, because if it enters the district, it gets utilized in one way or the other. Second is the drainage system. There has to be a composite plan about the rural as well as the urban drainage system. If we don't take care of this drainage system, it will end up in our rivers, which we are finally also using for our water system. We are really worried about that. In fact, ma'am, in our next annual action plan, we have created, we have kept this budget for water stabilization ponds, which will have 3 stone layers, so that there is some kind of filtering before the water enters the river body. We have kept for every panchayat in our annual action plan. Also, in the next plan, we have kept, we have done an EOI, so that for the solid waste management, there is a company to which we can outsource. We can connect our Swachh Grahis to them, and they will do a proper scientific disposal. We have also kept 3 plastic waste management plants, which will help in finally disposing of the plastic. We have baling machines also in every panchayat. And we have also created a citizen portal in which people who don't have household latrines, they can apply for the household latrine. But ma'am, I would like to say that lot more also needs to be done for this drainage system and plastic. And we are at the district level trying to do that. In fact, ma'am, the Secretariat and the Rural Development Department, Government of India, obviously, they have created a lot of plans for it. And we will try that we will utilize these plans much better. Thank you, ma'am.
थैंक यू सरीश. मैं कई सालों से देख रही हूँ आप बहुत अच्छा काम कर रही हो, एंड we wish you the best in your efforts going forward also in whatever role you occupy. Good work done in Baramulla. I'm sure of great interest to others also. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. I would now like to call upon Sri Surinder Kumar Meena, who is DC of Uttar Dinajpur. Suresh from West Bengal. Surinder.
Surinder. Okay.
Ma'am, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Ma'am, I am Surendra Kumar Meena, ma'am. I am District Magistrate, Uttar Dinajpur. District, ma'am. Slide. Next slide. Next slide. Ma'am, basically, this is the basic information about the Uttar Dinajpur district, ma'am. Ma'am, we have 2 subdivisions and 9 community development blocks and 98 Gram Panchayat and the 4 municipalities in Uttar Dinajpur district, ma'am. Ma'am, basically this district known as the chicken neck, because we connect the whole India with the northeast India, and our total area is, ma'am, around 3142 square kilometer. And ma'am, we have international border with the Bangladesh, which is around, ma'am, 227 kilometer. And our population is, ma'am, more than 30 lakh as per the 2011 census. Ma'am, this is ODF plus journey. Ma'am, in our district, ma'am, 1477 IMS villages, and out of that, ma'am, till now 1399 villages already declared as a ODF plus. And ma'am, our achievement is till now 95%, and ma'am, rest 78 villages will be ODF plus by, ma'am, end of this month. That means, ma'am, by the end of this month, our district will be declared as a ODF plus district, ma'am. Next. Ma'am, regarding the IHHL, ma'am, basically, since inception, basically more than, ma'am, 5 lakh toilets have been constructed in our district. And this year, ma'am, we already constructed around 10,000 toilets through DBT mode, ma'am. And ma'am, regarding the people participation in construction of the IHL, ma'am, basically we are doing the, ma'am, para बैठक at the grassroots level, since we have to identify the new beneficiary and the left out beneficiary. And after identification of the beneficiary, basically we are doing the collection of application at the grassroots level with involvement of the local people. And we are also doing the house to house survey, so we can identify the left out beneficiaries and whether they are using the toilet or not. Next slide. Ma'am, basically these are some photographs of CSCs, ma'am. Basically back, ma'am. Ma'am, basically till now 170 number of CSCs constructed with the convergence of Swachh Bharat Mission Fund and the 15 finance. But main problem होता है कि इसका maintenance कौन करेगा? That's why we are handed over to these CSCs to the local self-help group or Sangh and the market committees and the hard committees and the other self-help group. And these user groups, basically they ensure the daily cleaning of our CSCs, and for that they are charging some user fees for use of these toilets. Next slide. This is the status of Govardhan and plastic waste management and the fecal sludge management. In our district, 150 KLD Govardhan unit is under construction, and this will be completed by end of this month. And regarding plastic waste management, 3 number of plastic waste management unit is under tender stage. And these main 3 units are basically centrally located, and these 3 units will cater the entire Uttar Dinajpur district. And regarding fecal sludge treatment plan, 2 number of DPR, we already prepared 2 number of DPR, and proposal already submitted to the state for the approval. And additionally, 4 number of parcel already identified in the different blocks, basically this is the status of grey water management. For grey water management, we prepared the village saturation plan. Village saturation plan for treatment of the liquid waste generated from the household level and the community level, like ICDS, school, colleges, and the tourist places. And based on this village saturation plan, our estimates are being prepared for construction of community leach pit with silt chamber and the filter chamber in the existing drain, etc. Basically, whatever infra we created under solid waste grey water management, we are updating our grey water asset registered, so we may avoid the duplicity of these schemes. And we are also taking the help of the community people for identification of our location and the site for the grey water management. We are also doing the para baitak by involving with our senior officials like SDO, BDOs, and other officials. And we are also doing the IEC campaign regarding to aware the general people and to aware the importance of the sanitation. The sustainability part, basically once our grey water asset back slide back, sir, please just. Once the grey water asset basically completed, we are trying to hand over the local community and the institutional level. So after that, they can maintain the asset. Next slide. Next slide. Solid waste management. Back. Ma'am, this is the status of the solid waste management. Ma'am, as per guideline, basically we have to construct the solid waste management unit in all the gram panchayat, and accordingly, ma'am, out of 98 gram panchayat, 90 unit already completed, and rest 8 unit will be completed in the month of January. And ma'am, the main problem is that, ma'am, basically in the rural area, people basically they don't have any idea about the solid waste management. Basically, they don't have any idea about the sanitation. That's why, ma'am, we are trying to involve the local people, and we are trying to explain the importance of this sanitation and the importance of the solid waste management units. For that, ma'am, the para baitaks, basically in the grassroots level, we are doing the para baitak, involving our PRI bodies, SHG group, our schools, ICDS worker and other stakeholder. And when proper miking and the leaflet distributions and other activities are being done by the our Gram Panchayat. Ma'am, for to make these solid waste management unit successful, basically we planned some of the activities. Like ma'am, then the house to house survey is being done for collection of the waste, and ma'am we fix the user charges. And ma'am, e-card training basically ma'am imparted to all the SHG group. And ma'am, we also fix the route chart for the SHGs for e-card ma'am. Ma'am, basically these solid waste management unit basically are being operated by the our SHG basically entrepreneur. And as we know that the first level segregation basically ma'am is being done at the household level, and second level segregation is being done at the solid waste management unit level, where ma'am the SHG groups basically the biodegradable waste converted into the manure through vermicomposting, and the plastic waste basically segregated at the this point and sold to the local shopkeeper and the local person. That means, ma'am, this model, this solid waste management model, basically is a complete business model. And ma'am, for the all 98 Gram Panchayat, we identify ma'am 98 Sangh. And ma'am, उसमें more than 2000 basically SHG basically women we identify. इनको initial training basically दिया गया ma'am, and the e-card handed over to all the groups, and basically they are working in the ma'am field. And ma'am, they are taking monthly charges from the household and the institutional level, which is the ma'am major income source of our SHG group. Apart from that, ma'am, they are also selling the plastic and the vermicompost in the local market. And another thing, ma'am, just I want to highlight here, because our almost all the solid waste management unit basically about to complete. That's why the sufficient space is available in all the solid waste management unit, and we are trying to introduce ma'am marigold farming in all the solid waste management unit, because we have local demand in the area, and the climatic condition and soil condition is also favorable in our district. And on an average, ma'am, around 1.5 lakh is annual income from the marigold farming. So this will increase the overall income of the SHGs. Now, this is the some photographs of our IC activities. Our ICP activities are being done by different level, by involving the different stakeholder, and involving the different method of the IC activities. Just in the last, ma'am, just I want to highlight one case study. Ma'am, initially I mentioned, ma'am, we identify these 98 Sangh for all these 98 solid waste management unit. This is the just example of one Sangh in the Raiganj block. Basically, this unit basically established in 2017, and after that we handed over to the Kamlawadi Nari Shakti Sangh. And then this Kamlawadi Nari Shakti Sangh, basically they are generating around more than 10 lakh revenue from this solid waste management unit as a user charges and the selling of plastic and vermicompost. And when total 11 women are working in this group, and their monthly income is around 7 to 8,000 per member, basically from monthly as a monthly. So ma'am, basically this is completely business model, and our SHG women basically they are working as a entrepreneur. They are working as an entrepreneur, मैम बेसिकली सैनिटेशन का काम नहीं कर रहे, बल्कि वो लोग यहाँ से एक वुमेन एम्पावरमेंट का बेसिकली टूल, सॉलिड वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट एक वुमेन एम्पावरमेंट का टूल हो सकता है, इसमें प्रूव किया है इन लोगों ने. एंड जो 2000 लोग वो बेसिकली मैम आइडेंटिफाई किया है, वो लोग का सभी का इनकम मैम अराउंड 5 to 6,000 इसका इनकम होगा. इसके अलावा भी बेसिकली अदर एक्टिविटीज वी आर प्लानिंग टू इंट्रोड्यूस इन दिस एग्जिस्टिंग solid waste management units, plastic waste management unit, and the fecal sludge management unit. This is from my side. I just convey my sincere thanks to you, ma'am, for giving this opportunity, ma'am.
Very good, Surendra. Shabash. बहुत अच्छा काम हो रहा है.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. As our last participant, I would now like to call upon Tinku Mani Bora, who is representing Karbi Anglong district. ADC Tinku Mani Bora.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Ma'am, our DC ma'am being busy in another assignment, keeping in view of the visit of Honorable President of India, I'm presenting on her behalf. I'm ADC Karbi Anglong.
Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Okay, next slide, please. Ma'am, this is a brief profile of Karbi Anglong district. Karbi Anglong is one of the largest districts of Assam, and it has a 70% of the area is hilly terrain. And the total number of villages in the district is 2,135 numbers, and approximately 8.45 lakhs of population with scattered habitation. Ma'am, being a six-schedule district, the district is administered by Karbi Anglong Autonomous Council, and among other subjects, PH is also a transport subject. This is some key highlights of ODF Plus status of the district. So we have been declared as 100% ODF Plus, out of which 1,141 villages are ODF Plus under aspiring category, and 994 villages are in rising category. And we'll try our best to declare ODF Plus model within 2024. This is some key highlights of solid and liquid waste management system. 55% of the villages are saturated with solid waste management arrangement, and solid waste management saturation villages are mainly equipped with household compost plants, and 100% villages are saturated with liquid water waste management, and liquid water waste management saturated villages are mainly equipped with traditional arrangement like kitchen garden and ductile ponds. And we are all set to saturate all villages with solid waste management arrangement within 2024. Next slide, please. These are some traditional grey water management system that is basically found in most of the villages of Karbi Anglong district. So, ma'am, this is the status of individual household latrines, and in second phase we had a target of 13,064, and pre-DBT construction has been completed 5,498, and we have made DBT now 4,931, and payment has been made to 2,333. And this is a special initiative taken in Karbi Anglong district. Being hilly terrain, construction of ISSL in the hilly areas becomes difficult due to limited availability of bricks and high transportation costs. Therefore, we have taken initiative for construction of this ISSL using fabricated from a rolled steel and using GCI seats. Next. These are some 5 numbers of community sanitary complex that have been constructed in community gathering area, and they have been managed by local communities. These are 8 numbers of school sanitary blocks constructed throughout the district, and these have been maintained by the school management committee. These are some IC activities that have been undertaken throughout the district. Under the motto Clean Event, Green Event, we have taken various IC activities, and this has been carried out throughout the state. Ma'am, we have a Karbi Youth Festival that will be graced by our Honorable President of India, and we'll have a gathering of more than 1 lakh people per day. So here, this time we are using ultrafiltration unit in the event, and we'll also use biodegradable cup to avoid the use of plastic, and we're also planning to set up a plastic waste management unit nearby the festival area. And this is about the Swachhta Hi Seva program, where most of the people are participated in the district. Thank you.
Very well done. Your district has moved up remarkably in a very short time. So compliments to you and your whole team. Bahut acha kaam.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I think we would now like to thank all the 10 collectors who have presented today. And utilizing the fact that there are over 700 people who have joined us today in the collectors Samvaad, I'd just like to reiterate certain points for the benefit of all the collectors. It's rarely that we get an opportunity to address all the collectors directly. So my first request would be to please look at your toilet story. Your toilet story is still an issue which needs careful consideration. We are basically concerned about 2 parts. The first part is lack of availability of the toilets. So we need to ensure that anybody who still requires a toilet is identified and he is granted a toilet as soon as possible. As we know, 100% funds are provided from SBMG, and there is no shortage of funds on this regard. So please ensure that your toilet story is it ensures 100% saturation.
Of course, there is a certain eligibility, although it's a very generous eligibility. So wherever people are eligible for government support, they must get that. But other people, if they are not covered under the generous, even the generous criteria, must be encouraged to make their toilets and use them, right? So we just have to make sure 100% coverage under access to toilets.
The second part in the toilets is we need to look at the repair of toilets, and toilet usage. So please focus on an IC/BCC campaign which reiterates the need to use the toilets and to continuously use them.
और खास तौर पे schools को use करिए. See if you can get your schools and the children in schools to take this message home and to be your ambassadors in some sense.
Now, the second point which we talked about was the convergence. As the district collector, you need to focus, you need to ensure that funds from the 15th Finance Commission and the MG Narega as well as other state schemes are converged. I would like to draw your attention to the fact that the block panchayat funds and the Jilla panchayat funds are generally overlooked while ensuring this convergence. So please use your good offices to ensure that the block panchayat funds and the Jilla panchayat funds are definitely used to ensure convergence and for creation of additional sanitation assets.
And you know that that's not a small number because the amount varies, 10% to 25% of the grant goes to the block and the district levels. The GPs get usually about 75%. It varies from state to state, but there's a band in which funds are available at the district level, the 15th Finance Commission grant, and the block level. Do look at how those are being used.
The third point which we would like to talk about is ensuring Jan Bhagidari, and a very vital component of Jan Bhagidari is ensuring adequate IC. So we would like to ensure that all villages, irrespective of their coverage, the key IC messages of sanitation, key messages of hygiene, key messages of water conservation, basically key messages of wash are liberally wall painted across all villages. There is no shortage of IC funds in this regard. Wherever SBM funds are inadequate, JJM funds have been allowed to be used for these kind of ICs. So please ensure wall paintings, each and every nook and corner of the country should be covered with IC with regard to Swachh Bharat mission and with regard to wash in particular. The 2 points I would like to suggest. One is please focus on your sanitation assets which you have already created. Repainting of those assets, rebranding them, recoloring them, ensuring that they are functional. So that is a very, very important part. Please look at the assets you have already created and make sure they are worthy of being displayed and they are functional. Functionality of SLWM assets is very, very crucial, as well as O&M of SLWM assets. In this, the role of user charges cannot be overemphasized. So please ensure that you have some kind of user charges which are being done. I'd just like to share, we had recently done a third-party assessment, and it was quite surprising that only around 12% of the villages are actually taking some kind of user charges or not. So that's a huge gap for us. And unless we start taking user charges more efficiently, we will not be able to sustain the huge number of assets which we have created. So with these few points, ma'am, I would like to request you for your closing remarks.
I think we've already overshot, so I don't want to speak much. We did want to hear any comments from the others who are present here today, but in the interest of time, we will forego that. However, please feel free to reach out to us directly if you wish. In particular, any district which has done some good work, which you believe can be showcased, highlighted, please share that with us. These 10 districts, certainly, please, all of you, make some nice videos, preferably within 2-minute kind of duration. Please share those with us. We would like to disseminate those widely. They should be done within the state. I would request the state teams to please make sure that your own success stories must be showcased. But at the national level also, we would like to showcase all the good work that's being done. Keep up the good work. We look forward to many more narrations from you all on the achievements that you make on the sanitation front.